Hey guys, so today I'd like to talk about a book called Rich Dad, Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki. The main idea of this book is that there's Robert Kiyosaki and he tells you that he has two dads. One dad is his real dad, the so-called poor dad in this book. The other one is the dad of a friend of him called Rich Dad. And there are a lot of differences between these two dads. This one is the rich dad of his friend, that's the poor dad, his real dad. So there are a lot of differences in the mindset of these two dads. So the first difference is the difference in the education way of these two dads. His real dad has a PhD and lives the traditional education way. The other one didn't even finish high school. There's also a difference in mindset, for example, how they look at situations. If there's something expensive, his poor dad says, I can't afford it, while his rich dad says, how can I afford it? Another example, the poor dad studies his career. He's studying like the rich dad studies, but the poor dad is studying his career, while the rich dad is studying money. Both are studying, but the subject they studying is different. The poor dad struggles financially, the other one, the rich dad, dies as a rich man. Kiyosaki decided to listen to the advices of the dad of his friend, the so-called rich dad, instead of the advices of his real dad. So he listens to the rich dad. A very interesting thing he told him was that it's not the most important thing how much money you make, it's more important to understand money. So some people complaining about their minimum wage and would like to have a second job, but that's not the only problem. There's a lot of other problems like spending money. It's the relation between income and expenses. So what would you do if your income really raises up to 10,000 bucks, for example? Would you party? Would you buy a house or a car, or what you'd like to do? So that's the dump reaction by a lot of people. Making money means spending more money. Income and spending relation is the same as before or even worse. There's an interesting concept about income, expenses, assets, and liabilities. To explain assets in a nutshell, assets are things that put money in your pocket, and liabilities are things that put money out of your pocket. So for example, a house can be both. If you rent it for yourself, it's a liability. It costs you money. If a person rents it from you, it's an asset. It brings you money in. So let's talk about the differences in spending habits by the poor, by the middle class, and by the rich. There's a huge difference what they do with money. So let's start with the poor. The poor buy things with their money, things they sometimes don't need. So you can say the income is pretty much the same like the expenses. So there's no difference. So the middle class buys liabilities and think they're assets. And the rich really buy assets that makes them actually money, income, and they can reinvest. So that's the huge difference between poor, middle class and rich. The poor income is pretty much like the expenses. Middle class think their liabilities are assets, and the rich have real assets. For example, real estate, businesses, etc. There are a lot of people that would like to invest, but these people are sometimes afraid to invest because of the risk they have to take. But they don't say the same thing while buying very expensive cars or big TVs. I think here's the problem in mindset. Taxes, or the idea of the modern Robin Hood. A lot of people know the Robin Hood story, but there's also another interesting story about this Robin Hood idea with taxes. So first, only the rich person had to pay taxes to help the poor. Then later everyone had to pay. But you see, in the long run, the rich person wins this game because they'll find loopholes to pay less taxes. For example, Warren Buffett says that he pays a lower percentage of taxes than his secretary. Another big advantage of the rich is they don't have to pay taxes on everything. On their whole income, they only have to pay taxes on what's left after buy things, after expenses. They have to pay taxes on that, not on everything like the middle class or the poor. So, in my opinion, the main ideas of this book are: learn from experts of money like Kiyosaki did with his rich dad. Buy assets, learn how to know what's assets and what's liabilities, and buy assets instead of liabilities. Third thing, just learn to keep your earned money. So that's the book Rich Dad Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki. I hope you liked the video, and I would be happy if you subscribe my channel and give me a thumb up. See you the next time. Bye.